All right, guys, we are back with another episode of Puckin Around. I'm CodyPucks once again. Today I am joined by Fish. Fish is going to represent the Kraken. We both have our Kraken blue on.
Yeah.
Fish, it's funny how I met Fish. I sent one of those tweets out, just casting my rod into the lake, and got a little nibble from a fish, and he said, I live right down the road. So little did we know the ice people are closer than what we ever imagined. Fish lives 10 minutes from me. Fish, welcome to the show. How we doing, brother?
Unreal, man. Absolutely happy to be here. Exactly like you said, smallest world you could ever imagine, right? And the ice people are everywhere. That's all you got to remember.
Yep, that's right. So Seattle Kraken. Tell us kind of how you got into being a fan of the Kraken, and tie in the ice people or anything you may.
Absolutely, yeah. So it all kind of starts with the ice people. Actually, is so what is it? 2 years ago or so, I want to say. Sports betting got legalized in Ohio, and started following along with Mr. Ice and enjoyed every minute of it. It's like, well, I don't actually have a hockey team at this point, so may as well shop around while we're doing this. There were not a lot of over 6.5s in Kraken games. But as an Ohio guy, obviously the first choice leads to the Blue Jackets. Michigan fan as well, so that's a little hard to stick any heart in Columbus for me. So with the last name Fish, it's easy to just pick the new guys, the new fun team. And my first year watching hockey, we get into the playoffs, break in, and beat Colorado in the first
Win
round
a
as the eighth
series. That's right.
seed. Exactly. I was like, man, this hockey stuff is easy. This is fun.
It's
I gotta
electric.
stay
It's
on this.
electric.
And then obviously get real sad second round, but end up with Maddie comes out rookie of the year, like first year watching this team. I got the rookie of the year on my team. We sweep the best team, of the league in the playoffs first round. Like I just fell in love instantly. So been on the Kraken since then, and gotten lucky enough. They did a lot actually this free agency and everything. At Montour, obviously the highlight, which going into it, the defense wasn't bad this past year at all. It wasn't as good as it could have been, but the biggest issue was always goal scoring. But signing somebody like Monty, like you could tell they're kind of going a little bit more all in, which I'm very excited about. Stevenson was the other was the other signing that everybody was kind of surprised on. And here we go, I got my shit back. Stevenson again, and watching the Kraken in these first 2 years, Vegas has absolutely owned us. And it's been tough to watch any Vegas games. So getting somebody from that team specifically, although it's on a fat contract that's probably going to hurt us in a few years. If it pays off in the first few here, it'll be okay. It'll probably be tough to move him. It was like 7 years and
Yeah.
like
I. Right.
40.
Right. I think it's tough. Being the rule in hockey for an expansion franchise, I think it's really cool that every team can just have a selection of a certain amount of players, keep them off limits, and then the new team comes in and they can take whoever they want. So that's a disadvantage to teams that are loaded,
Right,
which
for sure.
but and I think that they're going to change those rules, because what they found is that Vegas came in the first year, made the playoffs, were loaded, might have made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But you see a few years later, they hoist the trophy.
Right.
Similarly, the Kraken, they come into the league first year, bang, make the playoffs. And like you, when Vegas was an expansion franchise, I remember for Christmas, I asked for the beanie. I had a Vegas shirt, like Western Conference champs. I was like, hell yeah, fuck the Senators now. I love the Senators, but but I had a shirt. I was like, I'm a Vegas fan. And last year, I mean, the Kraken, 2 years ago, the Kraken, they come in and that's a sick logo. They have
Exactly.
some
Yeah.
nasty threads too.
Yes.
And they skate that well the first year. Last year, a little bit of a down year, but
For sure.
like you said, they're starting to add some pieces, pay guys a little bit more. And because if you look at just the contracts of everybody on the Kraken, everybody pretty much makes like right around the 5-6 million. So I think at the beginning it was kind of just that's what you have to do to get your studs in there. But now they kind of have to adapt, and next year will be interesting. Beniers had a down year last year. What do you expect from him this year?
I mean, you'd really obviously, you'd hope he comes back. Obviously, you saw what he could do his rookie year, and he showed out. It took him, I want to say it was like his first like 12 games until he got his first goal this year. So you start out that slow,
Long
like you're
time.
only
I was
gonna,
waiting
yeah,
on him.
that you're only, it's exactly, it's eating on him, and coming in as a sophomore, rookie of the year, year before, like obviously the pressure's on him. So maybe a little bit got to him, who knows. Bjorkstrand was he stepped up unbelievably, like in Benier's place, goal scoring wise, at least, and like assists and just points in general. That was a huge get from Columbus. Again, I'll take that any day. But he picked it up a lot this year for sure, and exactly like you said, like Monty now and Stevenson are going to be the two big contracts that they're paying. But everyone else, like, really is on pretty cheap. Like, we can go for as long as we can on this. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, the Kraken are so I don't know if you follow my betting styles or the plays that I put out, but I kind of like to obviously I follow Mr. Ice and I play all his plays, but I like to kind of attack it from a different angle. I like to go with the individual players to just simply get a point. So over 0.5 points is kind of
You've made me some money, Cody. Don't even worry about that.
My plan of attack. All right, good. That's good. So and I like the players on the Kraken. You can get Bjorkstrand, at +10 whenever you want. You can get a guy I really like is the guy you got from Tampa Bay, Yanni Gourde, the little fast boy.
Yeah, he's quick. He's quick.
Boy, he plays with a lot of pace. And obviously, you got your guys like Eberle. You got your studs up there. You got McCann. You got Schwartz. Another guy I like is Burakovsky. Tolvanen had a good year last year.
Yeah, Ellie was. And
then you got the addition of Shane Wright coming. And is he going to be up all year? Do you know?
He should be. He played a lot last year. Down, I think he was on like the fourth line. But he played like a decent amount. I know they made room for Riker Evans is going to come in, and the way they're kind of making the roster up this year, it kind of seems like they're going to let him get out there and skate most of the year, which I'm excited for. That was an early round pick 2 years ago, I want to say. Again, don't quote me on that, I think. But they've made a lot of room and I'm saying Riker Evans. Riker Evans is on the defense, but I meant Ty Cartier is actually who I was looking at. Ty Cartier is the rookie they brought up last year, about halfway through the year, kind of when they realized, I think, that playoffs were kind of out of reach after just the record got kind of out of hand. Brought him in just to get him some real ice time, some experience, and he performed really well. I think he scored, I want to say, within his first 6 games. But he looked good. It'll be fun. Burakovsky had a definite off year last year. I'm excited for him to do what hopefully he had done in the past, because he was at Colorado before, right? I've seen him do better. He did not perform greatly for us on the second line.
I think he's a good player.
But he is, exactly. I think as soon as he gets a little bit more comfortable and maybe he finds somebody just on his line that he goes really well with, I think he'll, again, you just got to get used to everybody around you, right? So first year on a team, it's tough, which is why I'm kind of skeptical on how this year is going to go with Monty and Stevenson, those big ads, and they'll be asking a lot for them, but we'll see what happens.
That's right. And
The
the
West
West
is
is
tough.
tough. So
Yeah, the
it's
West is
it's
tough.
I mean, and they're loaded, man. And so I always got to look at the conferences. Yeah, so the Kraken, they finished 6th in the Pacific.
Yep.
Canucks won that division. I mean, you got the Oilers,
Oilers,
you got the
exactly.
Golden Knights. The Ducks. That I like the Ducks this year. I mean,
Really? Okay.
I do, and I'm looking forward to doing that episode because I like the Ducks players. I not as high on Zegras as TikTok boy
Okay.
as some people are, but yeah, it's tough though. I mean, it's super weird coming into the league. This will be their 3rd year, so really everybody's just they're going to have to do something, transaction wise and free agency or trade wise, to they're still figuring it out. But like you said, the Kraken are fun. That arena is absolutely bonkers,
Dude,
when it gets going.
I'm doing anything I can to get out there this year. I'm excited. I got
Wow,
to
that would be
go.
fun.
The Kraken traveled to Columbus this past year. And I got to go. That was like one of my Christmas presents. I got to go like in some pretty nice
Oh, dude,
seats.
hell yeah.
And it was a questionable experience dealing with the Blue Jackets fans. Obviously we were in person. We bet over 6.5. We won 7-4 was the final doing there, so that part was easy, but the Blue Jackets fans were about tired of me, I think, by the end of the game. So
I think they're probably angry about that Johnny Gaudreau contract they keep having to pay him, scoring
yeah,
50 points a year.
well, that one, and they the Blue Jackets are, if you've ever attended a game, the Blue Jackets are the biggest, and we can run this by the Blue Jackets correspondent, but they love the welcome home videos of all the great players that have been on the Blue Jackets and then go do way better somewhere else. So Bjorkstrand came home, had an amazing video. Everybody was so happy that Bjorkstrand came home,
Then he
and then he
busted
put
him.
2 goals in the back of their net, and we
Yep.
went home happy. So
Said thank you. Yeah.
exactly.
That's funny that was your Christmas present, because this year I went to one Blue Jackets game. It was Blue Jackets Senators.
Yep.
So that's awesome. And it was just it was like a Thursday night, and I knew they played the
Wow.
following night, and it was just kind of should we get tickets? And
Yeah.
we hopped on and we rode up to
Oh,
Columbus,
that's
and
awesome.
yeah, it was fun. All right. Well, so the last player I kind of want to talk about that I personally really like is Vince Dunn. He
Dunner.
had a big time year last year.
Yes, he did.
And I think he is a player that not a lot of people talk about in the league. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, Dunner is the word around like the Kraken fans and everything, like everybody loves Dunner. No, there's no bad words to say about Dunner at all. So, but you're absolutely right. There's not a lot of talk just like league wide. The only real guys that we get any like league wide chatter about are McCann, because he just puts pucks in the back of the net. That's all he does. And then Bjorkstrand this year put together such a good year that they had no choice but to put him in the All-Star game. So those are
Yeah,
the really only 2 guys we got that, I mean, obviously Matty, but after this past year, like they kind of forgot about him, which
yeah,
you can't really argue why.
And you guys got Grubauer. I mean, he's a Stanley Cup winning goalie for Colorado in the past. So
He had a
you got the
bad year this
DNA.
past year. He really
Yeah.
did. Decord took over like about, I want to say, like a halfway through the year. Decord actually kind of started the majority of the games, and looked really good. So by the end of the year, Grubauer looked way better, like back in shape. They had I want to say they were they were top 10. I think they were 8th in points against or in goals against. or like let up. The problem is they were 28th in goals given. Like they
Mhm.
couldn't score. They just couldn't
Yeah.
score. No Matty goals. Like there was just nothing to do, and nobody could really affect anything besides McCann. He was the only one that could score all year, unfortunately.
Yeah, it seemed like all their lines were just a little stagnant for whatever
New
reason.
coach though, brand
New
new
coach
coach
this
coming
year?
in this year, Hackstold. I mean, I didn't have any real issues with him, but you got to kind of do something when you've
Oh,
got the
that's
names
right.
that they
Who's their new
have.
coach? Who's their new coach?
I honest to God, I couldn't tell you his name. I don't know if they've hired somebody yet. Honestly,
Oh, is it?
have they hired somebody yet? I'm googling it right now. Don't judge me.
I'm not judging you. No edits here either. This is just
This guy
this is just a
put me
couple
on
guys
blast.
chopping it up. No. I think
It
I'm
was
trying to think of the Mighty Ducks head coach. What's that guy's name?
so it's BYLSMA. I'm not gonna ruin my Dan Bilsema.
Okay.
He won the 2009 Stanley Cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, how about that? Okay.
There we go.
Well, you got a Stanley Cup winning coach. You made the playoffs the first year. So I don't know. What can you expect from this year? Do you think they have a chance to make the playoffs, or kind of got to see how Beniers comes out, or
Yeah,
what do you
it'll
think?
be like we said. It'll be a big question on whether or not the how the West shakes out. The West is so deep. You get in, like we said. Obviously, um, you get into the playoffs and see what happens. Right? Like again, 8 seed against
Right.
the number one Avs. Nobody ever saw that happening out of a first, second year team, whichever that was at that time. So you get in there, like it'll all be whether or not obviously, like you said, like the barn's gonna be unreal. The fans will be there. It'll be whether or not they just can come out and actually score goals this year. Truly, that's what it ended up coming down to. Like 28th in
Yeah.
goals scored. You're not asking for much. Like to get a little bit of an improvement out of there. They moved to Tar, which he would have been a great piece. He just never, like, he came out hot when we first got him, but
Yeah.
just didn't really do much after that. He just cooled off and never really did a whole lot. So we'll see what
Players like
happens.
that are tough. You kind of just have to ship them off, and
Right.
just not even look at their stats for the next team, because it'll just piss you off if they do good.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking for. I would love to make the playoffs. I don't want another repeat of obviously sixth or whatever. And even I'm sitting there looking at it in the background of you, like being behind Calgary kind of bugs me too, because I'm not a big fan of Calgary.
I was
Um,
surprised at that. That might be an error in the
I hope
statistician Cody
so. I
Pucks,
don't think
but
they were
I don't know.
fifth.
I think I
I don't
double
think
checked it.
Seattle was fifth. I think it's pretty accurate.
We'll have to check it.
But Calgary just makes me mad. So that's
Yeah,
so
they must have ended the year on like a 7-8 game winning streak. That's probably what happened.
Calgary I know they took it to us a couple times towards the end of the year. So
All right.
definitely possible. But
All right. Well, yeah, I wish you guys the best of luck. Like I said, I love watching that barn get crazy. The playoffs were absolutely electric against the Avalanche.
absolutely.
I was hammering the Avalanche every game that series, and the Kraken did it to me. So kudos to you guys. I 100% botched that joke. I was thinking of Gordon Bombay from D2 Mighty Ducks. I was going to say he's your guys' coach, but yeah, like I said, I appreciate you coming on, brother. Best of luck this year. Look forward to watching the Kraken, and
Absolutely.
look forward to grinding out some ice wins with you. And
Yes.
boy,
Yes.
I miss the ice people. The season can't come
Absolutely.
quick enough.
Damn. Oh, it got me itching for it for sure. It's gonna be fun. Like I said, I'm gonna make sure I make it to an ice con this year. Hopefully, like you said, maybe we get a little East Coast action, and who knows? We'll maybe see you again for a Sens Kraken game or something.
All right, sounds good, brother. I
Sounds good,
appreciate you
sir.
coming on again.
Absolutely. Anytime.